Hey guys, and welcome to the vlog. All right, so we haven't done one of these in a little while, and I thought we'd catch up and, have a bit of a chat and see how the year is going and all the things that I've been up to and on the channel and so on and off the channel and, news in the hobby and that sort of thing. So we're going to go through all that today, as I usually do on these videos. And while we do that, we're going to go on a little quest. So, I've got these Soulsworn Questors here that I've converted, some converted ones. So we've got like the Relictor here, made from the new Relictor model, and a bunch of these Vigilors that I've turned into sort of like questing vanquishers, and I removed all the quivers and so on and made them into little Questors. I think these models work really well if you want to do some conversions. These are definitely ones to use because they've got the cloaks and everything. I think they work really well, and it gives me a little theme. And one of the great things about converting this model is that if you take the staff off, you get this nice little detail here, and I'm using this as my sort of quest marker. So I think that works really well for this. A nice little addition to this little conversion set. And and we're going to talk about getting into a season through a narrative means. If you're getting into a competitive season for AOS, or really any game really, and you might be finding it hard to find your hook or your way in. Sometimes the list can give you some narrative cues to do something fun, a little hobby conversion or maybe a color scheme or something to sort of set you on a little narrative path to enjoy the season a little more and find some fun in it, even if the season itself isn't, let's say, as to your liking as you would like. I've been warming to this season for AOS, but this sort of thing really does help to get you in the vibe and get you going. So I thought we'd have a little bit of a chat on that at the end and discuss those kind of ideas. But first, we're going to get into the news, and and I've also got a lot of Blight of Gods news to talk about. I've been hard at work on my game, so we're gonna have a little bit of a chat about that as well and what's coming in the future. Videos into the future and so on. And all that sort of thing. So I think that's really cool. So yeah, before I get all this done in the intro, I think we should get started, eh? Okay, so what a year it's been so far. A lot's happened. It's been a very, very productive year. I think the last time we spoke on one of these, I was positive and pretty upbeat about the year compared to, let's say, last year, and that still remained true. I've still been going all guns blazing, as it were, over the year, and it's been good. Very busy, but good. So I am still pretty positive about the year and the way things are going, both personally and hobby wise, and this channel wise, and all those things, and my own personal brand, Blight of Gods, and all of that. All of those sorts of things have been doing well this year. Like just going from strength to strength, which is really nice. And I think that's really cool. So, to start out with, it's still very much a positive thing. And I'm still very much into this hobby and have the passion for it and all of those sorts of things. We can go through those years where we're less interested than other years, but I'm definitely still on that high of, hobby passion. So that's good. And and we've got a few things to talk about today and get into. So we will do that. I'm going to save the more, I guess, deep discussion for the Christmas special, which will be in only a very short time. It's we're the year's moving on quite quickly. So in December, when we have our Christmas special, I'll go into more detail about next year and future videos and that sort of thing. But we will touch on that today as well, and what's happening with my brand, Blight of Gods, and the game that I've been making, and all of those sorts of things. So we will be touching on that today because it's pretty exciting, or at least for me anyway. I don't know about anyone else, but it's definitely interesting for me and fun. So that's cool. So you're gonna have to sit through it, I guess, if you're watching or listening to this. There's a lot there. So I suppose we'll start out with the hobby news, and we'll go into that and have a bit of a discussion on some of the things that I've picked up over the last few months that I thought were really fun or interesting. And we'll just take it from there, and we'll get into this discussion. So yeah, hobby news. So we have, there's quite a bit going on at the moment. We've got a range of new releases from GW and other vendors, which is really exciting and interesting. I'm going to touch on some of those today, not a huge amount. We'll have a bigger retrospective over the top picks that I've liked when we get into the Christmas special in a short time at the end of the year. But for now, we'll start with AOS. So obviously, if anyone's been following this channel, I'm a big fan of Chaos Dwarves, and they're finally here, right? And and what a range. It's super cool to see them. You know, they're very beautiful models, well sculpted, everything like that, beautiful and clean and all those sorts of things. So you can do a lot with them. You know, maybe the official paint scheme isn't as eye-catching or as strong, let's say, for some people. I've noticed online people talking about that. For me, it's cool. Like, it's still a nice scheme. You know, I am obviously one that likes to do custom schemes, so I won't be using that one. But you know, and in fact, I already have my Chaos Dwarf themed army in the Warriors of Chaos in Old World. So we'll be using a lot of these models to convert over into Old World and that sort of thing when we get to it. But you know, if you're playing AOS and wanting to do Chaos Dwarves, there's lots of great color schemes, and I may even dabble at like doing a force with that Warriors of Chaos scheme into AOS and do those with that scheme, because it's a pretty cool one, and I think it'll work really nice on these models. But you know, whatever the flavor, you know, these Chaos Dwarves are really awesome, and it bodes well for the future. You know, their range is good. It's complete. You've got a bit of everything. The book, I don't know how I feel about that yet. I'm not a huge fan of over bookkeeping. Like, a little bit is fine. I don't know what kind of advantages that's giving. You know, that's to do with their demonic points or whatever it is. I don't know how well that system works for them yet. You know, it's taken a few goes for the other Chaos Gods that have that kind of same system, you know, in the other armies to get that right. And it doesn't always fit with the army as well. Like, I've noticed that Slanesh, you know, armies have a bit of trouble, you know, landing that theme well, and Khorne has also had sort of weird misfires on those designs over the course of the couple of generations of AOS that have been around. It's worked in some cases and not in others. So yeah, I'll be interested to see how they go in the future for Chaos Dwarves, but I'm very happy that they're here, and they're a cool range of models. And then going on with that, we've got this new Underworlds release, the Spitewood or whatever it is, you know, the next sort of iteration, and two great little warbands in there. You've got those Kurnoth Heralds, I think they're called, from Sylvaneth, and they're a great bunch of models. If you're into that, they're really nice. I could easily paint those up. Yeah, a fun set of minis, well sculpted. And then we've got those Chaos Dwarves there as well, and they're a great little group of minis. I'm probably going to pick that up and use some of those, and I'm sure I'll find some good uses for them. Whether I use them in AOS or not, I don't know, but yeah, those individual models are always fun to paint. I've always said that about Underworlds. They're just a great range if you're into painting and that sort of thing. You just want some nice individual models to paint, or use them for conversions for characters, etc. That whole range is pretty solid, and they always end up with something interesting in there for you to get into. So yeah, that's really cool as well. And then going along with that, we've got another one of their little sub games that they do, Warhammer Quest, and we're getting this Darkwater box, and that's what it's called. And they've just released, as of this video, they've just released the Manticore Knight, one of the sort of the lead knightly, you know, Empire or Cities of Sigmar character on the front of the box. And yeah, it looks really cool. I think they'll be a great set of minis, judging by the artwork that you see from the box. I'm sure it'll be, you know, a pretty solid box. It does look like, from the sort of blurred image that they show on their article, it doesn't look like there's much terrain as far as I can see on that, but that might be, I don't know. I don't know about that, but maybe others on the internet have been digging deeper into this and know why that is or why that isn't. But it does seem like a different format to the Cursed City one and that sort of thing, that sort of box. So I don't know how similar those games are from one to the next. This might be a departure, a different type of setup, but the minis that from what you can see look pretty cool in the artwork, obviously. So that's a really positive thing. And again, a great source of individual minis for conversions, you know, Mordheim, for instance, any other game systems that you play that use little warbands and so on, that you'll find something pretty cool in there, I think. So that's pretty great. And so then we come to 40K. Now, 40K, I haven't been super you know, watching each release or things like that of late. I've been very busy on my own brand over the last little while, but I have been, like, you know, keep my eye on it as it goes. You know, I do have several 40K projects on this channel that we go through, different color schemes and so on, that I do for lots of the different 40K factions. And currently, you know, we've got the Harlequin stuff that I've been doing, we've got the Custody stuff, etc. There's a lot there, and I did notice all those Space Marine heroes that they showcased not long ago. and they're probably the standout for me in this second part of the year. Pretty interesting stuff. There's some really nice ones in there. That Raven Guard one is amazing, and as I'm, as anyone that's following the channel, we're getting into some heresy stuff with a certain faction where that Raven Guard character might be very good conversion. I've already seen someone online do it, so I'm not a first at this or anything, but that model screams a certain chaos faction, and I'll leave that up to you to decide what that is. But yeah, I think I'll be having a crack at trying to convert that at some point. I don't know when, but it's an obvious one, so that's really cool. Yeah, I think it's great. So yeah, we'll be looking at some of that, but all the other heroes are great too. There's a good range there, really interesting. So I think that's pretty fun for 40k, and definitely the Space Marine fans would be loving that. It's a good batch of minis to get into. So yeah, pretty cool. And then we come to one of my favorites, Old World, and Fantasy's back, so that's great. And we've seen this new almanac, the Cetra's Fury, and that's looking really interesting. I've been digging more and more into Old World and getting into the gaming side of it, and all of that, and it's looking really cool. I've loved the updates, the 1.5 update. All of that, the missions, etc. This new sort of, I guess, competitive format that they've started now with that other book they released. I haven't actually managed to get my hands on that yet, so I can't really speak too much on the competitive rule set yet or anything like that. But from all the updates they've done so far and this almanac, it looks really cool. I'm very much interested. The Battle March stuff, the smaller game system stuff looks really good, and these new models that they showcased in conjunction with this almanac, the new Khemri characters there, yeah, really lovely. Fits in perfectly into the army. I've been dabbling at the idea of maybe doing some Tomb Kings as well, so that's something that you might end up seeing on the channel. I've just been trying to work out the way I want to do the scheme. I think I've got it down, but obviously it'll be a bit more of a custom scheme or a custom process. But yeah, you might end up seeing those on the channel just as a little insight into the future. That might happen. But yeah, I'm really liking it. It's definitely something that's vibing for me, because I love list building. I love all that side of the hobby, and Old World definitely scratches that itch in terms of getting really crunchy into the details and trying to make those lists and finesse them and all that sort of thing. I really enjoy that. So yeah, Old World's definitely giving me that kind of vibes at the moment, and so I like it a lot. So yeah, that's pretty cool. And I think that's where we'll leave it with hobby news. There's a huge range of new Infinity models and some Warcrow stuff and other systems out there that have been releasing a lot of models in this later part of the year. But I'll save that off probably till the Christmas special, and we'll dig more into detail on that as we get to the end of the year there. And I'll pick some nice picks from that range, because Infinity is releasing some really beautiful stuff. And incidentally, their production painting quality and that sort of thing has really exploded, and their photography. I don't know if anyone else has noticed that, but Infinity's gone, leaps and bounds, really up into the high levels of GW sort of presentation in terms of how they're presenting their models now. Whichever set of painters they've got doing those minis now, very clean, very crisp, beautiful, rich colors, and very easy to read. The readability of those models is much better, and you need that for those, because Infinity models are so detailed. They have so many, they're that sci-fi sort of armor stuff. So you have all these little shapes and geometric shapes and cuts and things all over them. And so you really need very strong a painting style that really pops to really get the best sort of, I guess, visual presentation for the minis in terms of a product. So yeah, I've really noticed that. It's very cool to see. I think that's whoever's in that department there that's been pushing for that and managed to get that over the line. I'm sure internally within that company has done a great thing for their game, because it really presents it in like a next level way. So, and I don't know if anyone else has noticed that about Infinity, but I certainly have, and I think that's really cool. It's very exciting to see that they're moving into that realm of really like nailing those different aspects of their brand and in the game, because the game's really cool. I still haven't played my first game yet, but the guys in my club are slowly pushing me towards it, so I will eventually get there and get a game with them and do all that. So we will eventually see some commentary on Infinity, that sort of thing. I don't know whether anyone will want to listen to that, but I will eventually have a crack at it, and I haven't quite got onto the Warcrow thing yet, because the miniature availability is a little bit low, but we'll talk about that in a second with the videos. But haven't quite got there yet with that. I wanted to do some of those this year, but that wasn't quite possible. So yeah, that's where I'll leave it there on the hobby news, and so then let's move over to some Blight of Gods news, eh? All right, so my baby, Blight of Gods, here we go. So, this brand has been going on for quite a while now, and I'm finally getting to a point where, things are really coalescing together into something really special, and I'm super happy about it. Now, I don't want to reveal everything just yet, although I'm very keen to do so. I've gone leaps and bounds over the year to get everything done for my new game for the Blight of Gods brand. I won't release the name yet. It's a really cool name, by the way. One of the best names that you could have in wargaming, and I'm surprised that no one's ever taken it, or at least not that I know of. I've been doing lots of searches. I can't find anyone who's using this name. It's going to be awesome, but I don't want to release it just yet. So if anyone from my club is listening to this, please don't put that in the comments. Leave the name out. I'll release it later on, probably at Christmas time. I'll talk about it, and we'll get into it, because it'll be. But basically, what I'm looking at for that game is a sort of early to mid next year release. So between March and June, I think, somewhere in there. There still needs to be a bit of playtesting on it, and but as of this video, the board is done, the rules are done, all the printed media is done. I'm just now working on the terrain features, objectives, and markers, and things like that, tokens, etc. So all the smaller accessory pieces for the board. Now, you might say, the board done. In addition to a PDF, a printed PDF, which you'll be able to download and print onto neoprene mat, etc. I'll reveal a little bit of this now. I've actually designed STLs for 3D printing. So it's a fully sculpted 3D printable board that you can play this on. So I won't go into super details just at the moment, but it's a very, very cool board. It's a monster. So it's not for the lighthearted. You've got to be really committed. So I don't know if anyone's actually going to try to print this. I feel like it's a very big project. I'll go into more details at Christmas time about that. But there is a sculpted board for this game, and it looks awesome, and it is already printed and goes together well and all that sort of thing. So it's amazing. So I guess I can reveal a little bit. My game is a hybrid game, war game. So think things like Blood Bowl, Underworlds. I would say probably Creature Casters Judgment is another good example. These sort of hybrid war games that incorporate a hex or grid board with miniatures, using war game mechanics with that sort of slight influence of a board game element, alongside things like computer game inspirations and so on. So mine would fit into that category as like what I would call a hybrid war game, and any of those three. Although my game is nothing like any of those three, probably the closest one in terms of inspiration would be something like Judgment, where they're taking a lot of computer game sort of inspirations, that sort of thing. So I've got a little bit of that in there as well. The difference would be with their game is it's more of a hero battler, and mine is more of an army battler. So thankfully my game is very different, although it does draw from some similar concepts from computer games, which I think is really interesting, because not many war games do that. They have a little bit of crossover, but not that much. So so that's really interesting. And incidentally, at least one of the creators of that game is in my club, which is pretty interesting. So if you're listening to this, hello. It's pretty cool. I've been seeing on the Discord some of the guys getting into Judgment and that sort of thing. So I'm definitely curious to play it. I've watched some games of it, so yeah, it looks really cool. So if you're into that sort of hybrid game, definitely look out for Judgment. It's a pretty cool game. But as I said, mine is definitely different. So but it does fit into that sort of hybrid category, I guess. So yeah, we're well underway, and I'm looking for an early sort of next year release. And so that's really exciting. So yeah, I want to talk more about it, but I won't do it in this video. So that's good. And then once that releases, I'll move into more miniature releases then. So at the moment I've got the Undying Cult on the website, and then we'll move into the first demon faction, which will be the Darkspawn, and they'll get released as well. So you do have, I'll release some small information on it. So you do have 10 factions in this game. It's 18 units per faction, so there's 180 units in the game. So it's not a small game, it's not a skirmish game. I consider it a war game, considering the breadth of it. And any single list that you write in the advanced mode of the game, when you're doing army lists, you have like basically 108 choices to choose from at the starting point of your list writing experience. So that makes it a really enjoyable kind of thing. I think the closest thing I think to list writing that I can grasp on this would be, although not the same, but the way sort of MCP and Atomic Mass Games, does it with where you can really draw from the whole roster of those Marvel heroes and create warbands from that. It's a little bit like that in some respects. So you've got 10 factions and you're basically drawing from 6 out of the 10 in any time you're writing a list. So I won't go into more details on how that works, but you can probably get the idea. But it means that there's a lot of really fun combinations and variations on it. So I think that's really great. And that gives you a lot of replayability. And the rules that are for this game will all be free. It's a PDF, so it's going to be a live rule set that's updated, etc. And all of the printed media and all that content will be free to download from the Blight of Gods website. So it's going to be one of those sorts of games. It's agnostic friendly, etc. So you'll be able to use your own minis and convert your own warbands from other producers of minis and enjoy that experience. And as time goes along, as I make more of the miniatures for the game, it'll go from being like an agnostic friendly game with some miniature support to a miniatures game with full support that is agnostic friendly. So that's kind of how I guess the life cycle of this game will go over the years that as I'm producing the miniatures. So yeah, I'm really looking forward to that experience, and I hope you guys come along for the ride. It is really cool. If you like this particular type of game, and you'll understand what I mean once I showcase it. If you're into that particular type of gameplay experience, then this one will be for you. I know it won't be for everyone, but yeah, it's definitely going to be a good like secondary game, or if you're into this particular type of gameplay experience and strategy, then it might be even a main game. As I said, there's enough in there for you to do that, and I've got plans for much more than that after it. But initially, I think that's a pretty good first offering for a game made by one person. So yeah, I think that's pretty cool. But that's all I'm going to say on it for right now. And obviously, some of these details might be subject to change depending on how I go. So I'll put that little disclaimer in there. Some things may alter depending on the final play testing and editing as I move into next year and finalizing it. So don't take all of this as gospel. It may change slightly, but more or less those details are correct, and all of that, at least as of this video right now. Obviously, it might change in the future. It's going to be a living system, so it will alter and evolve and change over time. So yeah, I think I'll leave it there for the Blight of Gods news. That's a lot, and I'm very excited, and I want to talk more about it. And then we'll move in. We'll now go straight into the channel news and talk about the videos coming up and the format and that sort of thing. Okay, so with the channel, I mean, I'm pretty happy with how it's going. Now, because I've been doing this whole game thing for the Blight of Gods brand, the video format has slightly altered, so we're going to one video a month at the moment, whereas normally it would be, fortnightly, and that's going to have to continue at least until I think the game releases. So for now, I posted before that we would do it until I think it was January, but we probably will extend that into sort of, February, March, April, something like that. And once the game releases, I'll be able to go back to the fortnightly format, because there are a lot of videos I want to make. It's quite a lot, and we'll go into more about what I want to do for next year when we go into the Christmas special. But, as of this video, we still have a couple of, well, if you saw the teaser photo that I posted, you'll know that there's some sort of heresy type stuff coming up in the next couple of videos. And there's also some AOS as well. So that should get us through to January, and then after that is where it'll mix up. I've got a whole range of new videos I want to do, and they range between AOS, 40k, Old World, my Blight of God stuff, Infinity, hopefully some Warcrow. As I mentioned before, I wasn't able to get the minis that I wanted for that because they ran out of stock. So I haven't been able to get the minis that I want for Warcrow to try it out and have a go at some paint schemes. But if I do get access to that at some point in the future, I will put that on the channel, but I just haven't been able to do that yet. So we've got to sort of keep that in the back burner for now. And then outside of those main ones, then we've got, other possible game systems and so on. So if maybe one or two videos, we might touch on some Atomic Mass Games systems and some others, but I'll leave that open. I usually like to have a couple of videos that are sort of open to sort of mucking around with some other miniatures. But the main ones there is AOS, 40k, Old World, Blight of Gods, and Infinity at the moment. They're the ones I'm sort of focusing on, and we'll move outside of that as I see things coming out that might be fun to do some videos on, and we'll work through it. So yeah, that's pretty much where the format is, and I do definitely want to get back to a fortnightly system, but for now it's monthly. So I hope that's okay with everyone. I hope you've been enjoying these and sort of getting some value out of it. I'm still really enjoying making them, so that's really cool. In terms of anything else on for the channel, I'm really happy with where it's at. It's a decent format for right now, or at least it fits into my lifestyle and that sort of thing, so I can produce these. So yeah, for now nothing's changing. If something dramatic happens next year and my life shifts around or does something else, then I'll be able to maybe alter that. But for now, the setup and everything, you know, the way I record and that sort of thing is fitting in. So no real changes there. But I'm always keen to improve on things, but I just haven't really seen, you know, some workflows that are going to improve things dramatically enough to warrant the changes. You know, anyone that's ever done anything with technical things knows that the moment you try to change anything, everything breaks, right? So I'm very hesitant to do any major changes to my setup, because you know everything's going to break the moment you do it, and it takes ages to fix and get everything working again, even if there are some benefits to doing it. But I want to really be careful about that, because yeah, I don't have a lot of time, so I've got to kind of like fit it in as best I can. But yeah, everything else is going pretty well. So we'll talk more about the channel news when we get into the Christmas special, and I'll go through it in more detail for next year. But yeah, I'm very excited. It's looking like a really good year. We're going to have a good range of videos out, and a good bunch of paint schemes and processes that I'm looking to explore and continue on with in our hobby journey on this channel. And yeah, obviously my favorite thing is going to be my game, my Blight of Gods game. So I'm looking forward to releasing that. So I think that's all. We'll talk about that for now, and we'll get onto this little informal topic about you know, digging into a season through narrative and going on a bit of a quest, and we'll have a little bit of a chat on this, to see out the video. So yeah, going on a quest, you know, it's something that I've wanted to talk about, you know, this kind of concept before. And, you know, this current season of AOS dropped, and I thought, you know what, this would be a good one to have a little bit of a chat about it. You know, and whenever you're doing one of these war games, and, you know, sometimes the seasons or the different, you know, competitive formats don't necessarily sync with you as much, and you're trying to find your way in, right? And what I found is the best thing to do is to focus on the hobby, you know, the hobby side of it. And so you're writing your list, you're trying to find something that works for you, that fits with your sort of, you know, tactical expression on the battlefield. And, you know, once you've found that, the list may or may not be, you know, maybe it's not as exciting as you wanted, or maybe it is. But, you know, you've then got to go ahead and paint those new units. Usually there's at least 25% of your list. If you've already got most of your stuff painted, there's usually about 20% or something that you have to go and then paint for that season to start playing competitively. So there's always a bit of work to be done, and some new units to paint. And so I usually take that as an opportunity to dig into that and try to come up with something fun. I've done it in the past. You would have seen some of the conversions I've done on, you know, some of the Stormcast heroes and so on that I've done in the past for different seasons in previous editions of the game, in 3rd edition. And, you know, this edition's no different. So we come into this one, and obviously Questor Soulsworn are great. And so I thought, okay, what can I do here? Because my current list has 3 units of them, and so I wanted to have a bit of a theme there. It was an obvious one to muck around with, and I thought, yeah, that'll be great, because then I can do some conversions, and they're a really you know, fun narrative part of the lore of Stormcast. You know, having these sort of Stormcast warriors that go on a quest with a relictor, and, you know, sort of become these sort of little independent hero, you know, warband, as it were. And I think that's really cool. And so, you know, I thought, okay, well, I'll dig into that, and you know, start converting some minis, and get a little unit together that's fun. And so those Vigilor models were the obvious choice, and I had some spare Vanquisher stuff, so I thought, okay, well, we'll do that. And, you know, then that new Lord Relictor model has the banner pole that I was like, okay, well, I can use that as my quest marker, you know, my objective marker. Like, they're going to hunt for his original body, you know, and recover it. Maybe it's been lost, that sort of thing. So that was a really fun idea. And the way my list works is, you know, I'm using the scouting force, tactic and so on. And the whole way my list works is drawing people in, and then the Soulsworn jump away at the end and go and claim the objectives in the enemy's deployment zone, and score the points that way. So I've got this sort of concertina thing where you draw them in and then you move away, and it's a fun move. You don't have a lot of leeway. It basically functions the way it functions, and you can't really change from that, which is one of the narrowing things about this season. You're sort of locked into a sort of pattern, I guess, in a lot of ways with some of these battle tactics and so on. But if you make a list that really works with it, it can be really satisfying. So I wanted to really dig into that little narrative of these questers going on the quest and finding this lost body of this relictor, and yes, that's where we're at, and that really helps get into the fun of the season and enjoy that experience. And I think that's something that's really beneficial when you're moving through these games or doing something slightly competitively or whatever. You can lose sight of the fun in the hobby making, the hobby experience, the creative side, the modeling and painting and so on, if you get too caught up in that gaming side, even though that can be very satisfying. It can burn you out a bit, right? So coming back to something fun and interesting like that helps to stay the course and give you a better all-round experience, I feel. So, what are the sort of benefits? Well, I've just sort of alluded to that. It definitely gives you a focus for your list. It reinvigorates your creative side. It does all those sorts of things to help keep you interested. And, in our busy lives and so on, to be able to, cultivate and keep a creative habit in your daily life is, I think, really important. I mean, I've extolled the virtues of, artistic expression and so on in this hobby and all of that many times. And I'm a firm believer in it. And it's very healthy and good for you to indulge in it, even if you're just a gamer or whatever. You don't consider yourself a particularly great artist or a painter of any sort of note or anything. No matter where you are in that scale, it's a very, very positive and beneficial pursuit to dig into this sort of thing, and coming at it from that narrative perspective and making a little story for yourself and giving you that way in. I think only has benefits. There's no negatives there. It's definitely a wonderful thing to do to keep you invigorated and involved, and and that leads you to the social side, right, which is part of what competitive gaming's all about, is interacting with others and getting into that gaming side and enjoying that experience with other people. And the fact that you've got that little bit of narrative there lets you have that little vibe conversation with your mate about it, before the game and so on, or during it, as the ebbs and flows of the dice gods inflict their pain or success onto your tactical decisions, and you get to have that roller coaster ride, and it gives you that extra bit of narrative hook to tie it into what's happening with those dice, and I think that's always really fun. It's one of the cool things about wargaming, I think, when the story and the practical aspects of the dice rolling and everything kind of line up together, it's pretty fun. That's something that's big in Old World, right? Like, because there's less dice, it makes each dice more impactful, and you get big swings and that sort of thing, and that really generates those sort of like narrative moments that are really impactful on the game, and you remember them. That's part of the fun of it. So having that little narrative there, I think, really helps to give you those memorable games, or at least set up the circumstances to have one of those kinds of games. And they're always super fun. So there are definitely only, I think, positives to doing this. There are no real cons. It's going to get you in the mode of creativity and that sort of thing. I think that's really, really cool. And I love doing it. So most of my lists generally have some sort of little narrative hook in them, and it's excuse to do a conversion. You get to muck around with some parts you have in your bits box and come up with something fun. And I like to limit it to that sort of thing. I don't like to spend a lot when I do this. What I really love to do is, I might buy one or two small things or something, but generally what I do is I'll think about what can I use from my bits box, what's there already in my existing range, or some minis that I haven't painted or just been sitting there, anguishing in the backlog, and how can I repurpose repurpose those into something fun that I can use in my current, competitive season. Because one of the things is that often these units come and go. If you're playing competitively, you're not necessarily going to use them all the time. So this might be just a one-off season thing that you use this unit, and then in the next one they're not really usable, so you won't use them for another 12 months or something. So you don't want to sort of invest heavily into this idea. You want to try to be a bit thrifty about it, and find those things you can do that you already own or that you already have, and come up with something fun that doesn't cost you too much. That's really the best thing. It's very satisfying to do that, to utilize all those sort of grey bits of plastic you have sitting around. And but obviously you might need to get something, one or two things or whatever. That's fine. But then, doing that added layer that you can do like that, I think really just, puts the cherry on top of the cake and makes the whole experience very satisfying from start to finish. So yeah, definitely something to try. I think that's a really fun thing to get into. And I don't think anyone's ever going to be negative about that. It's a positive thing all around. I don't think I can think of anything negative to say about it. But so if you're thinking about that, or you're looking at a season that you're in, and maybe you want to find some hook there to keep you interested, or maybe your interest is waning a little bit, that's one of the ways that you can reinvigorate it, to get back into the gaming thing and enjoy it. And that'll see you through, and we've got another side to this, which is the list writing, but I'm going to save that for another video. You might be able to work out maybe what's coming. I don't know, maybe in January, and we'll continue this sort of conversation in a more formal way in one of my in the hobby chat videos, and we'll go into it a bit more. But yeah, that's a good start to this sort of conversation, and I think this has been a pretty good vlog. So we'll leave it there for now, and we'll go and see how I've gone with these Questors, and see if I've found my narrative hook with them, and hopefully I'll have enjoyed the painting experience, and we'll close this one out. And I'm really looking forward to what's coming. So we've got some good videos coming up for the next few months, and obviously the Christmas special, and then going to next year is going to be awesome. I can't wait to release my game and explain it all to you guys. So we will definitely reveal some things at Christmas time, but yeah, that should be really cool. Anyway, let's get this outro sorted out, and we'll see how I've gone with these Questors, eh? And there we go, we've arrived. The Questors have completed their quest. They're here, they're all painted. What a fun experience. It's been cool to do this little conversion job for these, and have a bit of a chat about the season and this sort of thing. It's been pretty cool. I hope you've enjoyed the little chat, and obviously the vlog and all of the news and all of that, the updates and so on for the channel, and obviously my own brand, Blight of Gods. That's been pretty cool to reveal some things to you guys, and talk about the future, that sort of thing. It's pretty exciting. And let's take a look at these and see how they've gone. So it's my usual scheme. Anyone that's been watching this channel for a while will know exactly what this is. Anyone that's new, it's pretty fun. It's a cool scheme to do, nice and simple, and you can produce this pretty fast. So I like it a lot. It's been pretty cool doing this army. We'll definitely have to do some sort of like army video or something like that, because I've got a fair few of these painted now. I think my last count was somewhere over 10,000 points or something painted, I think. So we should do a video on that. I think that'll be pretty cool, and see how this army looks all together. I did one ages ago, but it was only about 2,000 points or so. So it'd be interesting. I think I've done one more than that. So yeah, it'd be interesting to see how it looks all together. But yeah, I've enjoyed painting these for sure. I think they're really cool, and this is a nice little addition to the army for sure. I'm looking forward to the future, and I hope you guys are too, and it should be pretty fun for next year, and for all my Blight of Gods stuff and that sort of thing, and just the videos generally. I've got a lot planned, so hopefully I can fit it all in, and we can go back to the fortnightly video regime, but for the moment it is only once a month. But I'm looking forward to getting back to that next year. So yeah, pretty cool. So I hope you've enjoyed this. I'm going to leave a nice image for these as I normally do, and the paint list and so on. But I hope you enjoyed this. Please hit the like button, subscribe button. It really helps me out, and I guess I'll catch you on the next one.